Hello everyone, this is Savarish Kumar. So since the first video it has been a delay, so sorry for it. Hereafter we'll be keeping you occupied regularly. Okay. Today's topic is an interesting topic, that is digestion and absorption of carbohydrates. The food we take is digested, absorbed in different parts of the body. How it is done? Why we'll be thinking when we feel hungry, we take in food. We think that we get energy and everything. How does it happen? And what happens here? That is what we're going to see today. So this, before going into this, we'll be hearing the word everywhere: nutrition, nutritious, something. So what is that nutrition? Nutrition is nothing but the process of getting nourished. So this nutrition has some components like micro and macronutrients, and there are two types, mainly autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition is nothing but the organisms or living beings that obtain prepare food by themselves, and heterotrophic will depend on autotrophic for food and all needs. This is what the difference between autotrophs and heterotrophs is. So what is this micronutrient and macronutrient? Macronutrients are nothing but they'll be playing an important role in all body tissues, and they are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And micronutrients would be they'll be assisting in the digestion, absorption, assimilation, and metabolism of macronutrients. Still, they are not less important as macros; they are as much as important as macros. They are nothing but vitamins and minerals. These vitamins and minerals what to say, they play a factor as cofactor, coenzyme for many reactions, biological reactions that occur in the body. But these vitamins and minerals does not require any special sort of digestion. Okay, so we are the heterotrophs. So before going into this, we have to know how does autotrophs prepare their own food. They prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? With the help of carbon dioxide and water, in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, the pigment, green pigment present in plants, they'll be preparing their food, carbohydrate food, and oxygen will be released. Sometimes energy is also produced. This is what photosynthesis is. We depend on these plants either directly or indirectly. So anyway, we depend on plants or autotrophs for our food, daily needs. So what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are nothing but a polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketone. Okay, yielding these compounds on hydrolysis also. So from the term itself, we can take it the hydrates of carbon. So general formula will be CH2ON or CnH2ON. Okay. In general, they perform a major energy source in the body, and they perform several important functions. So they are clinically important in diagnosis of diseases like diabetes mellitus, which is the leading disease in our country, and also some diseases like galactosemia, essential fructosuria, and pentosuria. Okay, fructose intolerance and etc. Lactose intolerance, etc. Okay, well, how do we classify this carbohydrates? These carbohydrates are classified in many ways, but based on the product of hydrolysis, we classify into monosaccharide, disaccharide, and monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, and polysaccharide. Monosaccharides will yield only, will not, they'll not undergo hydrolysis. They are a single sugar unit. Oligosaccharide will yield 2 to 10 monosaccharides on hydrolysis. For example, sucrose will produce glucose and fructose on hydrolysis, but glucose cannot be hydrolyzed further. So polysaccharides will give more than 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis. So these are about carbohydrates. Now, how do we take in carbohydrates? In what form of carbohydrate? In what form we take it? Generally, the plants prepare starch. So that is one thing. Next one will be cellulose that is present in the cell wall of plants. Next will be from amino acids. Some carbohydrates are produced in animals. So this is the three sources. So as a whole, we take either oligosaccharides or polysaccharides. So these cannot be absorbed as such in the body. So they have to be digested. So we'll see in sum up what are the sources of dietary sources of carbohydrate. First one will be starch. They are obtained from rice and wheat, glycogen from meat, lactose is milk sugar, sucrose cane sugar, trahylose mushroom sugar, maltose and isomaltose, the breakdown product of starch, monosaccharides will be fructose, pentoses, and fruits and honey. So now carbohydrate is taken in. What happens next? They are digested. So carbohydrates taken in cannot be absorbed as such. So they must be digested or broken down into simple substances with the help of some enzymes present in the GIG. So these enzymes belong to a class of enzymes called hydrolases. So what are the enzymes that act on carbohydrate? Generally, we take in polysaccharides and oligosaccharides. They have to be broken down. So enzyme that acts on polysaccharides. They'll be present in mouth and pancreas. In the mouth, the enzyme present in salivary amylase, and intestine, that is pancreatic amylase. So the enzymes that act on oligosaccharides are present in intestine, and they are lactase, sucrase, trahylase, and maltase. How does digestion of carbohydrate occur at different regions of the body? In general, first digestion starts from the mouth. In the mouth, they are acted upon by salivary amylase. Only 30% of food can be digested because the action of this amylase enzyme will be inhibited by the hydrochloric acid that is secreted in the stomach. So in the stomach, there is no special digestion that occurs, or no digestive enzymes are present rather. So they are the same amylase combined carbohydrates will enter the stomach. This reaction will continue. Okay. Next, food is transported to the intestine. In the intestine, there is the presence of the pancreatic secretion will enter the major duodenal papillae. So the major duodenal papillae, the pancreatic amylase enters. So amylase will act on the carbohydrates, and they'll be breaking the alpha-1,4 glycosidic linkages of carbohydrates, and the oligosaccharides will be produced. So now the oligosaccharidases that is present comes into play. Example, lactase will produce glucose plus galactose, and sucrase will produce glucose plus fructose. Maltase will produce glucose plus glucose, and etc. Trahylase will produce 3 molecules of glucose. In such a way, these oligosaccharides will act present in the intestinal juice, succus centricus. Okay. Here is where we complete the digestion of carbohydrate, as all polysaccharide and oligosaccharide molecules are converted into monosaccharides. So see here, the starch is converted into dextrin. Dextrin is a smaller form of starch, and the dextrin is hydrolyzed into oligosaccharide. Oligosaccharide is hydrolyzed into maltose and isomaltose. They are hydrolyzed to glucose. Okay. Next one, dietary fibers. What are these dietary fibers? These are the unavailable carbohydrates that are present in the food. What to say, they cannot be digested and they are of no use in particular, but they assist in the normal bubble movements. So they don't need any special digestion. So they'll be excreted, eliminated as such. So examples will be cellulose, pectin, gums, and alaginates. These are the dietary fibers. So now as carbohydrates are digested, they have to be transported to different parts of the body. So see how this transport occurs. So before transport, they have to be absorbed from the intestine. So monosaccharides are absorbed. The monosaccharides are absorbed in the rate galactose greater than glucose greater than fructose. But in the blood, glucose level is higher. How this happens? Because the galactose and glucose are epimers, whereas galactose is epimerized to glucose. As fructose and glucose are isomers, fructose is isomerized to glucose. This is why glucose is higher in blood. Finally, glucose will be metabolized. For that, they have to be reaching the various organs from the intestine, liver, brain. Brain is the major energy sources, carbohydrates. So we have different types of transporters to transport. Glucose has specific transporters. They will be transmembrane proteins. So the transporters present here are, first one is GLUT1, GLUT2, GLUT3, GLUT4, GLUT5, GLUT7, SGULT. What is this GLUT1? GLUT1 is present in RBC, kidney, brain, placenta, etc. They will be present in most cells. GLUT2 is present mainly in the liver and beta cells of pancreas. So what this GLUT2 does is, what is it? They'll be, if blood glucose level is higher, they'll be stimulating the beta cells of pancreas to secrete insulin. So they are the glucose cells are in beta cells. GLUT3 is present in brain, as brain highly depends on carbohydrate for their energy. It has high affinity. And GLUT4 is present in skeletal muscles and they are insulin dependent. GLUT5 is a fructose transporter. So where is GLUT6? Think of it, we'll discuss in a while. GLUT7 is present in liver endoplasmic reticulum and sodium glucose transporter. They are co-transport. We are transporting both sodium and glucose at the same time. So that we'll see how this SGLT works. That is what the mechanism of glucose transport occurs. That we'll see in the upcoming slides. So here we have left on GLUT6. What is that? We'll see. What is GLUT6? So they are the regulator of glycolysis in macrophages. That is what GLUT6 is. So co-transport is on SGLT from the lumen of the intestine to the intestinal cell. So they are maintained by SGLT1. So they are the mechanism is secondary active transport. So transporter in kidney is SGLT1 and transporter in intestine is SGLT2. So another uniport system releases glucose into blood. First they come to the membrane of the cell from the lumen, then they are transported into the blood. We'll see that in a picture. So facilitated transport occurs here. First, secondary active transport, second, facilitated transport. That you'll understand with the help of a picture. So see here, this is the glucose in the intestinal cell. They'll be binding here. So the configuration of this changes so that what happens, glucose will be released. This is where the mechanism of transport or uniport lies. So we'll see how that co-transport occurs. This is the intestinal lumen. They'll be transported to the intestinal epithelial cell. Then where uniport occurs, or they'll be released to the blood. So see here, first initially glucose is present in the intestinal lumen and 2 sodium ions, minerals are present in the intestinal lumen. So 2 sodium ion and glucose is transported through SGLT1 to the intestinal epithelial cell. From the intestinal epithelial cell, with the help of sodium potassium ATP is pumped, sodium is pumped outside. By uniport mechanism or facilitated transport mechanism, glucose is released into the blood. This is what the mechanism of glucose transport. So glucose is absorbed from the intestine and they are transported through the blood to different tissues. Okay, this is where the mechanism. And we also saw how glucose is sensed with the help of transporters in beta cells of pancreas and etc. Next, what is glycemic index? This is a factor to test the digestibility of carbohydrates and to also to measure how this carbohydrate food affect our blood glucose level. A food with high glycemic index raises the blood glucose level and other with the less glycemic index will decrease the blood glucose level. This glycemic index is tested by glucose tolerance test. In the upcoming videos, we'll have a brief note on glycemic index. Now it is enough to know this much. So foods with higher glucose level or food containing glucose will have high GI and foods containing starch will have low GI, which means glycemic index. So why should a healthcare professional should know about it, or what is the use of learning this digestion and absorption? There are many clinical correlations. We'll see one or two in short. So first one will be lactose intolerance. So they are caused by the deficiency of enzyme lactase. They may be primary or secondary, which means congenital or acquired. Congenital in the sense, since birth, if they are not able to, if the child cannot tolerate or they cannot drink lactose, when they drink milk, when it gets vomiting or diarrhea, then that is congenital. Second or primary. Secondary will be in due course in later age if they could not digest lactose in their body. That condition is acquired or secondary. The causes will be chronic diarrhea and malnutrition. and sudden change to a milk-based diet. Symptoms, irritant diarrhea. Treatment, having food containing higher level of curd. So next will be glucose, galactose, malabsorption, congenital renal glycosuria, and type 2 diabetes mellitus. These are the some disorders related with improper digestion and absorption of carbohydrates. We have some clinical importance too, that this carbohydrates affects the blood glucose level. So carbohydrates are the main energy sources for brain. Hypoglycemic conditions may cause brain death. So normal value of fasting blood glucose will be 70 to 110 milligram per deciliter. After a heavy carbohydrate meal rises, in normal persons it is below 140 to 150 milligram per deciliter according to American Diabetic Association. Okay. So carbohydrates are important in assessing various clinical conditions like diabetes mellitus, alimentary glycosuria, renal glycosuria, pentosuria, essential hereditary fructosuria, and etc. So hope you all enjoyed the session very well, and like, share, comment and subscribe my channel EduMedu for the upcoming videos. So suggest me good topics and make me improved in myself, help me improving in myself for the upcoming videos. So do bear with some mistakes and better English somewhere else. Will try to improve far better in the next video. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy and be safe. Thank you.